Today we're going to talk about the brand new Xiaomi Buds 4 Pro. Now, these are obviously launching at the same time as the brand new Xiaomi 13, 13 Pro, and 13 Lite, and of course the S1 Pro watch that of course I'm dropping another video for. But one of the biggest things about them is not just the fact that they're small, they're very functional, supporting LDAC, and of course supporting multiple device connectivity, and not only that, also dimensional audio, so spatial audio, and of course active noise cancellation. A lot of functionality is built into these tiny little Buds 4 Pro from Xiaomi. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing those for you guys and sharing with you guys my experience after using them with the Xiaomi 13 Pro. This is TK and this is my review. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So this is pretty much the packaging. The buds themselves come inside. There's a couple of colors that are available, gold and black, and of course I have the gold one right here. Now, as you can see here, high-res audio supporting LDAC, so that's Sony's LDAC configuration. We also support SBC and AAC depending on the device that you're connecting into. Of course, this is again the Xiaomi Buds 4 Pro. Now, some of the main benefits, of course, is up to 38 hours of battery life. This is long battery life with the case charging, obviously, so we're not talking about just the buds. 9 hours with the buds, and of course, up to 38 when you're using the case. The VPU AI noise reduction for calls, really nice, and of course, makes it much more functional for us to use for making phone calls. It also supports the ability of actually reducing audio. If you're listening to music and you start talking, it recognizes that, and it reduces the audio and makes it a pass-through for a short amount of time so that you can actually have a conversation. Dual device connectivity, very nice, and they're supported right out of the box. Dual magnet, super balanced drivers, so this is where you're going to get some of that really nice pronounced bass, mids, and highs as well. Up to 48 dB active noise cancellation option here. This is AI, or basically a configuration option that you can go and adjust the strength of the active noise cancellation. Lifelike dimensional audio, it does support spatial audio, which is what they're referring to here, is this dimensional audio built in. And of course, out of the box, it does have all of that built into it. On top of the fact that we get the buds directly in the box, you do get a cable for charging, so USB-A to USB-C, and of course, replaceable ear tips that you're able to configure, and of course, the instruction manual. But for the most part, all you're going to need to do is use the actual buds themselves and do a fast pair connect directly to your smartphone. I did receive one update to that, and that now functionality is very nice. Now, the buds do have the word Xiaomi. The top part is a little bit more reflective, as you can see me right now. We have an LED light that's present at the bottom, USB-C on the bottom for charging, as well as wireless charging, so support that. And of course, the repair or pair connect option if you're trying to set it up to connect to multiple devices. When you open up the case, pretty straightforward. The LED turns on, letting you know what you have. And the actual buds themselves are magnetically clamped, so no chances of them falling. And of course, you're able to remove them and use them to your liking. There's a couple of pins here on both sides for charging. And of course, you can see that married on the one on the earbud himself. Now, on the side, we have the proximity sensor, the ear tip itself, and of course, with the drivers built in, microphone. And this is a button configuration, not a sliding. So you're not going to be tapping or swiping. This is more so just grabbing here and then basically pinching to configure it. So you can either do single press, double press, triple press, or press and hold, and you can configure all those functionalities. But once you have it connected to your smartphone, all you have to do is take the buds out, and then I'm going to do that so that it connects directly to my Xiaomi 13 Pro. Now, for Xiaomi devices, it's pretty straightforward. You go straight into the configuration, go into Bluetooth. Now, you'll notice here the Xiaomi Buds 4 Pro, it's connected, and it does have LDAC. It gives you right away the battery level as well, and that it is active. And of course, since I'm connecting it directly to the watch, this is the watch S1 Pro, it's already in there, and you can definitely see it in there. So if you jump into the settings tab right away, not only do you see the color of your device, you see the battery on the case, the battery is on each earbud, and of course it tells you exactly what it is. Now, once you put the buds in your ear, automatically it goes to noise cancellation. You're able to configure it either in adaptive, or you can also put it in as manual, and you can configure it from all the way from low to deep. Same thing with transparency mode. You have regular, ambient, and of course enhanced voice. So this helps us focus more on the audio that we're talking and listening to when we're listening to actual conversations without it. For noise cancellation, for me, I like to keep it on adaptive, and of course it just keeps everything running smooth. As I showed you guys before, we have the percentage on the battery for the case as well as on the buds themselves. We can check for updates in here, and there was a couple of updates that did push through, renaming the actual buds themselves. We do have spatial or dimensional, basically what's called dimensional audio. So to activate it, it's pretty much just straightforward. Once you turn this on, you have the ability of using tracking, head tracking or non-head tracking. And if you turn it off, it disables that functionality. And depending on the tracks that you're listening to, that could work for you. Now, when it comes down to audio quality, you're able to configure LDAC, AAC, or SBC. Out of the box, they're configured to AAC, and you can configure it to LDAC if your device supports the LDAC codec. In-ear detection with the proximity sensor, of course, connecting to multiple devices, you can do that. Notification widget, if you'd like to turn it on, this is something where it just becomes more of a persistent one. Automatic update, it'll update the buds themselves directly once an update is pushed through. Detecting voice is actually a nice option that is included in here, and that what it does here gives us the ability of, let's say I'm listening to music and I'm jamming, but somebody comes up to me and starts talking. The buds will listen to that, and once they hear that, you can preset the amount of time it does that. And of course, what it'll do is it reduces the audio on your music and turns on transparency mode to have better conversation. So it explains to you kind of what it does there. Now, absolute volume, basically keep the volume on Bluetooth devices and the phone strictly consistent, so there's no difference between the two, and you're able to configure that and turn it on from here. We have an ability of testing for ear tip fit test. You can definitely make sure you have a good seal when you're doing your active noise cancellation. And missing alert or earphone alert, this is something if you, let's say for some reason, forget the buds outside of the case, you'll definitely be able to remember. Phone calls, audio media, of course, you can configure that. And under additional settings, we have the option of actually turning on answer calls automatically. Let's say you're busy and you're working and you're listening to music, but you want to make sure not to miss a call. This will automatically do that for you, and you're able to turn that on directly within the settings. Now, because we're using it on a Xiaomi device, this is pretty much how you can configure it. Otherwise, you need to download the Xiaomi Buds application directly from the Google Play Store to get the same functionality and, of course, configure it and customize it to the way you want. I have it connected directly to the 13 Pro as well as my Xiaomi 13, and it works perfectly fine. Now, before we go too far, under gestures, you're able to configure the different options. You have the basically double press on the left, double press on the right, triple press on the left, triple press on the right. And of course, we have the press and hold on the left and the right. And I'm able to configure it for voice assistant, noise cancellation in here, previous track on both sides, and I kept the other ones in there, but you're able to configure the volume level as well. So not a lot of functions, but definitely you have the ability of customizing it to your liking. And again, you can customize the audio experience to the way you'd like it. Now for me, I've been testing it directly with an application like this. This is Amazon Music. It plays and it supports not only 360 audio, but it also supports Ultra HD audio. You can see here 24-bit, 44 kilohertz is going to be the best capabilities there with LDAC, of course. And you're able to also track into 360 audio. Let's go ahead and jump into here. Of course, once you want to turn on dimensional audio, you just go in there and turn it on, and you can turn on head tracking or without head tracking. By default, I recommend you just turning this off unless you prefer using it. And if you do want that, then for the most part, once you start playing music, like 360 track directly from Amazon, the main thing is as long as you're facing your device, the audio comes in stereo. The moment you turn, as you can imagine with spatial audio, that audio will stay towards where the device is sitting. So as if you're basically moving your head, but the audio is still coming at you from a stereo speaker in front of you, this is going to pretty much give you that experience. But I will also say one thing as far as the audio with the immersive sound. By default, when you turn on immersive sound, the audio gets a little bit more of a lift. There's a boost in audio performance, and it sounds more spatial, like it's coming from different directions, and it fills up the earpiece experience. It's not as pronounced when it's sitting in, obviously, in standard mode, but that's because you're not using spatial audio or basically immersion audio that we have built in here. So configuration, you do need to basically configure it, and this is called dimensional audio. Just be aware when you're setting it up and, of course, getting all the options set up correctly there. So we're going to do a quick audio test. I'm testing this actually on the Pixel 7 Pro. Again, it connects to the two devices at the same time, so I went ahead and just switched over to this. And of course, as you can imagine, you do need to download the Xiaomi Buds app for this one. I didn't have access to the app on the 7 Pro, so I was able to use it directly on the 13 Pro, but this should be a pretty good example of what the audio sounds like from the brand new Buds 4 Pro from Xiaomi. So the design is actually very minimalistic. So depending on the color that you go with, again, either the gold or the black one, you're pretty much set and it looks really nice. Audio configuration, as far as what we're getting here, is pretty straightforward. If your device supports LDAC, I feel like that's going to be the best experience you're getting. Keep in mind, again, this is more of a click functionality than it is a swipe. I did notice one thing though, if you want to use it in one ear mode, make sure you use it in the left ear. That's going to be the primary connector directly into your device. If you use it just on the right side, for some reason, it seems not to work for me, but it could be basically maybe the unit that I have. But it does work in stereo mode or single pair, so you don't have to use both at the same time. Range is actually pretty straightforward. Bluetooth 5.3 is basically, as you can expect, we have pretty good range and pretty good audio quality. So all the way from here to the other side of my house works just exactly as I'd expected. Now, as far as the audio, we have a few things we were able to do. Now, most of my testing was on the Xiaomi 13 Pro, so I'll give you guys my experience there. The Xiaomi has basically configuration for Dolby Atmos. We also have the ability of customizing the different EQs. All of those things are built into the Xiaomi functionality. You notice in the actual Bluetooth system, we didn't have any of those options built in there. All of the audio configuration had to be done on the device. So if your device supports Dolby, supports different customization, again, the 13 Pro should be more than capable of doing so. You're going to be enjoying this very nicely. You can customize your EQ, use kind of an auto mode dynamic system. or even make your own custom EQ. So it's not necessarily just using a preset, but you can customize your own. And the audio on this is actually pretty decent. On my recent trip to New York, when I did that vlog over on the channel a few days ago, I actually was using these buds exclusively. So for the overall 6.2 hours that it was taking us to come back from New York to LA, these buds were in my ear. I was not only sometimes using them just to basically reduce the noise, so the general ambient noise up to 48 decibels to reduce it there, especially when you're using a more advanced. So it gets the job done. It wasn't killing all of the sound, but it brought it down so much lower that it was a little bit more palatable. And so when I was asleep, when I tried to sleep and I couldn't sleep, it actually made it much nicer. And of course, when you turn on music, pretty much just makes you into your own little bubble. The dimensional audio or the spatial audio works as advertised. I tested it out directly with, for me at least, with the Amazon Music application. As long as you're playing 360 audio tracks and you have the head tracking function, then you're getting that functionality. You start the audio from here, you turn, the music stays kind of in the direction where your device is sitting. I kept that function off. I like the spatial or the dimensional audio because it kind of filled up the experience a little bit more. It made the sound brighter and more filling around, like as if I was listening to a louder speaker or a bigger speaker than what I was listening to before. The audio for it was pretty nice, and of course everything was great, but again, the customizations kind of become a little bit more open, and the audio becomes a little brighter when you're listening to it in dimensional audio turned on. Otherwise, for the most part, the bass is actually pretty nice. It's not very strong, very overpowering. You definitely feel it. If you want to customize it and maybe push a little bit more, you could do so in the EQ. Again, directly on the smartphone. But otherwise, it's actually pretty straightforward. It works really nice. You can connect it to multiple devices. Again, I had it with the 13 Pro as well as with my Pixel 7 Pro, as you saw there with the audio clip that we were talking about. The audio is actually pretty nice and good representation of how phone calls are. I've had pretty good, I would say, basically reception on the other side, where when I was talking to them, they felt like the audio was very clear and very concise, as you heard that in the audio. So with that being said, battery life, I'm honestly surprised. It lasted me quite a bit. On my trip to New York, I forgot to charge the actual buds in there. So I put them in my ear and I was using them all the way till I got to the hotel. So I left home here at 9 p.m., got to the airport and got on a flight, and then I slept. And then when I woke up and of course got to New York or Newark, the buds themselves just basically were almost at the end. So I think for the most part, I was using them more as noise cancellation, as I said. So definitely very nice, a good option. And again, available in 2 different colors and a whole bunch of different customizations that you can do directly when there. I love the fact that on the Xiaomi devices, it's built into the Bluetooth settings, so you don't have to necessarily download a second app. Everything pretty much straightforward. You go into Bluetooth, customize it to the way you like it. So thank you very much for the support. Let me know what you guys think of the new buds. Is this something that you guys are looking for? And of course, does this actually fit what you're looking for? Because these actually are very much feature packed and of course hitting well above the rate class. So I'm very happy with them. And of course, thank you to Xiaomi for sending them out for review. I'll see you in the next video.